21st of February, Media Center Ukraine Reform is at work, and now the heads of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office will tell about the work in the second half year of 2023. Semen Kryvonos from NABU and Oleksandr Klymenko from SAP are here. Let's see a short video. The second half of 2023, NABU and SAPO have shown powerful results. A first large-scale operation to reveal corruption in the restoration sphere. The multi-million abuse was revealed while buying food for the armed forces. Also, the former head of the Ukroboronprom became a suspect. Several judges will be brought to criminal responsibility. 355 new criminal investigations, 42 cases sent to courts, 30 sentences, 42 corruptioners punished. The economic effect from our activity reached $3 million, and 430 million hryvnia went to help the army. 2.4 billion hryvnia restored as damages to the state. 115 million hryvnia confiscated for the benefit of the state. We are fighting corruption. So this video and the news from the last half year say that this was a rather successful time for anti-corruption bodies, but what are other figures and facts? Thank you for the beautiful opportunity to present this report on the second half of the year and to talk about NABU and SAP results over the year, and I can say that they are the most powerful over the entire period of existence of anti-corruption bodies. However, I want to tell you that we're not talking here about the number of suspects or sentences. It's about how our revelations influence the entire level of corruption in the state and how loud they are and whether they meet the public demand for justice. Taking into account our main task, during 2023, we defined the priorities in our investigations, and this is about organized crime, where top officials are involved. It's about the current top corruption, about billions of damages, and about the highest level of top corruption, and also investigations in the sphere of defense and defense industry. Over 2023, we were able to find proof, evidence against the head of the Supreme Court, 3 deputy ministers, 11 MPs, 21 top officials in different spheres, 26 and 13 heads of major enterprises. So these figures are much bigger than in previous year, and this testifies to the efficiency and correctness of our priorities. We have also to dwell upon the economic effect of our activity. It's about the money returned to the state budget and the assets channeled to the defense capacity of our country. So the It's 3 billion hryvnia, and in the second half of the year, and it's 4.7 billion hryvnia in 2023. As far as crimes in the defense industry, defense sector are concerned, I would like to dwell upon this because embezzlement in the army during such hard times is a horrible crime. At the moment, we are investigating more than 60 cases pertaining to different abuses and embezzlement in the defense sphere, and the biggest priority are about buying armaments and food, and I would like to emphasize that our main task is the quality documenting of the criminal activity and collecting enough evidence in order to send the cases to court and provide for the sentences to the suspects. We are engaged in a lot of investigatory actions. We also get help from abroad. We work jointly with people from other countries. And of course, it is about the level of damages as a result of this or that scheme. We have to address other bodies and wait for months. And this is not only because of some negative factors of hindering the work of the Bureau, but it is also about the huge workload on those specialized bodies. Sometimes we spend a lot of time in order to just understand what are the damages while we are buying this or that weaponry or foodstuffs. So we are talking all the time about the necessity to establish an expert institution attached to the National Anti-Corruption Bureau so that they were able to serve our immediate needs. At the moment, we are actively collecting evidence in some priority directions of defense industry and sector, and we will soon be able to report on even better results compared to 2023. Among the challenges that the NABU faces is, of course, the investigations in the restoration of defense sector. Immediately before the new year, the legislation was changed as far as NABU is concerned. We've got more personnel. Now 100 new workers, including detectives, 90 detectives and other related stuff, and 10 state officials. We have to provide for the contest-based selection. It has to be transparent. The detectives of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau, we have to strengthen our operative branch and also the revelation, uncovering corruption in other spheres. There's also the autonomous listening by NABU, National Anti-Corruption Bureau, so we will have to tap the phones on our own. And I also emphasize that this year, NABU will face its first independent audit by independent experts. The process has already started. The Cabinet of Ministers got letters about sending to us independent experts. We are prepared to help this process every which way we can. And the common challenge for us is the efficient investigation of crimes, destruction of top corruption. Thank you very much. And Oleksandr, what about the specialized anti-corruption prosecutor's office? Hi, dear journalists, dear colleagues. We have common indicators, common results, and the specialized anti-corruption prosecutor's office works only with the cases that are being investigated by the National Anti-Corruption Bureau, and this was the most productive year over the entire period of existence of our bodies. And it's about cases sent to the court, about the number of suspects, but I would rather dwell on the fact that for 2 years we've been advocating some legislative changes that could provide for our better work. So in last December, the Parliament has voted for the respective legislation. So for us, the main task now is to provide for the continuous work of the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office so that this does not affect our work negatively. We are now a separate legal entity, and we are working for the selection process. The director has said almost everything that is worth saying. We have a rather good result fighting corruption in judiciary. We have issued suspicions to many judges of every jurisdiction. There's also the head of the state court administration, which is a very responsible position. So we have rather good results in this direction. And the priority that we set ourselves is to have clearer results fighting corruption in the defense sector. This does not mean that we have not worked in this sphere, but this is about the highest evidence standard. And because we pay so much attention to this, this takes a bit longer time, and I think that our results are going to be very tangible. We are working, we are looking for ways to improve it. Thank you very much. The fight against the corruption is the public request and also the request from EU and our Western partners. What is being done to not only reveal the facts of corruption, but also to prevent it. According to the law about NABU, we can compose our recommendations about the removal of corruption risks, and we are doing this. We sent our recommendations to the Ministry of Defense as far as foodstuffs are concerned, and the ministry has reacted. They said that they are moving towards removal of corruption risks. We also issued some recommendations about buying drones in cooperation with the digitalization ministry and information technologies, and it concerns the lowering of the price, and I think it was amounted to 3.5 billion hryvnias, the savings that we were able to reach. It's also about some corruption risks at the armor activity, so we are doing this all the time. And in fact, this is the prevention for future possible crimes. Dear journalists, you can ask your questions. about the investigations in the Ministry of Defense. I remember there was an information on the NABU site that your detectives have made a search at the company that was contracted to deliver infrared cameras. What's happening here? Yes, we were investigating this case. It is still on. We are conducting several expert tests. We will comment on the results of this investigation, taking into account the public echo and attention to this. So far, I can say that the investigation is being actively conducted. However, there's some secrecy involved, and we will talk about this later, both publicly, and we will communicate the entire information later. We also know about oil products of Kurchenko. We know that this investigation was in 2019. Why have you announced the results now? We announced it because we collected enough evidence. We mentioned that, yes, this was sent to the National Anti-Corruption Bureau. However, part of the evidence was not given to us. The evidence collected in 2015, 2019. So we applied effort to get this as well. We also had applied effort to establish the sum of damages. Now we are working with suspects, and when we were prepared to announce this, we did. I'll add something. What to do in order to prevent corruption? You should provide for the inevitability of punishment. That's what we're talking about. Notwithstanding the time that elapsed since the crime was committed, we still have to bring this case to its completion. And you know, this is not the oldest proceeding. We had investigations dating back to 2011 or 2012. It's about the Odessa airport, the Ukrnafta case, which dates back to 2013, 2014. The Rotterdam Plus formula, it's 2015, 2016. Yes, these cases take a whole lot of time, especially if another body was involved in investigation or they didn't want to investigate it. So when we collect all the evidence, then we go to the processual decisions. People's Bureau of Investigation, a very complicated question that's about the Odessa airport, Klimov, Grabovsky, and so on. Also the Western Cemetery. What about this? The pre-court investigation about the airport is going on as far as other cases are concerned, and there's court proceedings already, and we hope that we will get final decisions and the rulings soon. As far as the airport is concerned, yes, there's pre-trial investigation. You also said about expert tests. There's quite a problem here because 2 years ago, your chief detective said that the problem with expert tests is very important. How do you solve it? At the moment, we don't have any registered legislative initiatives. We are holding advocacy campaign in order to switch from words to deeds and to establish this expert institution attached to the NABU. The problem is that it should be immune from the pressure from outside and also from the National Anti-Corruption Bureau. Our main goal is objective and timely expertise concerning the criminal proceeding, without any interference, without any leaks, without interference into the testing process. This is the expert institution in pre-trial investigations of NABU and SAPO. They will be examining forensic examinations and other, in order to objectively, without any interference, provide the answer what was stolen or whether anything was stolen at all. Sometimes something elementary, when we see that there was robbery or embezzlement, we still spend 18 months for it. As far as the Kyiv case, he was put on bail in January. Do you see any risks here? And what about the case of Klymenko? The former head of the Supreme Court is ruled now by Article 190. They are examining the materials, and they have to do this before the 1st of March. After this, the case will be sent to court. I see no risks here. Some other episodes from this case pertaining to other people, there's pre-trial investigation going on, and probably we will show some result in 2024. As far as Privatbank is concerned, they are appealing against some rulings adopted by the first instance jurisdiction, and then there were some legislative changes in December. I think that we will wait for the final ruling and see whether this case has prospects. I still think that we have quite high chance for this case to find itself in the court. Taking into account the motivation part of the court rulings, that we see is that there's a time limit for suspicion documents, and it's been cancelled by the parliament. We, in principle, say that all the amendments by Lozovy should be cancelled, including the change of duties between the prosecutor and judge. We are now working out our strategy about how we should act after the suspicion was filed. So we think that the investigation should last for 2 months, then the prosecutors can prolong it, and after 3 months, the investigating judge should rule about whether this is going on or not. And this happened as far as the food storages of the Ministry of Defense are concerned. We wanted to investigate it for longer, but because there was a decision to reject our request for a longer investigation, we have only 5 days to complete the investigation and pass the documents to the court. And I think this is not an objective attitude towards the tasks of the criminal proceedings. I want to add, that's not about the infinite term of investigation. And when we are denied the right to continue the investigation, we are left without any right to continue this investigation. The fight against corruption is one of the key factors for Ukraine in order to join the EU. I would like to have a wider response from both speakers. Could you please name the key reforms in your institutions on the way to EU during the time since the full-scale invasion? First of all, elections of the director of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau. This was one of the requests, and this was done. The second condition in order to start the negotiations was enlarging the number of our personnel up to 1,000 people. We have also fulfilled this condition. The Parliament has voted for respective amendments, and the law is now enacted, and those 300 people will be hired in portions of 100 people a year from 24 to 26. There was a law adopted in December which gives us an opportunity to become more independent and institutionally capable. We are realizing and implementing this law, and I'm sure that the society will feel the correctness of this decision. And of course, we were also working on the deal legislation, and it's about the laws of the amendments that were mentioned here as well. And of course, it's about people who would like to cooperate and reveal the deeds or actions of other people. And the judge can, of course, at the moment can offer either conditional parole or 7 years of imprisonment. I think that this is disproportional. However, it is rather hard to document the organizer of the crime because they do not leave anything signed. They just give oral orders, and we have to engage the cooperation of people who are within the schemes, within those frameworks. This will help us to fight the organized criminal groups. I would also add the expert institution attached to NABU and autonomous tapping. The implementation of legislative initiative by the NABU. Just one more question and we'll finish. Gwaram Media, Kharkiv. You have touched upon the very painful issue of corruption in defense sector, but there's also embezzlement in humanitarian help. I know that in Kharkiv region you are investigating a former official from the state regional administration, but how many criminal proceedings in this sphere there are in Ukraine at all? I can't tell you about all the numbers because they're investigated by other bodies as well. But as far as the National Anti-Corruption Bureau is concerned, it's about the embezzlement when they were buying pasta, where we have issued suspicion to one former and one acting deputy minister, also about poultry, and there's a number of proceedings which I cannot reveal now because the cases are still active. And the problem with many cases is that by the beginning of the full-scale invasion, the legal act that set the procedure stipulated that there's no reporting on the number of humanitarian aid. So we have to monitor all the batches and numbers and sums of humanitarian help. So we were listening to NABU and SAPO top officials who reported on the results of their work in the second half of 2023. We're closing for today, but we will resume soon. Tomorrow, please be with us.